Hello everyone, welcome back to Piece of Physics. In this particular video, we are going to see about river man problems. Basically, this is the second type of problem of relative motion in two dimensions. Our first kind of problem is river having width of 800 meter is flowing with the speed of 3 km per hour and man can swim in this river with the speed of 4 km per hour. Find the time to cross the river and the point on the opposite bank where the man will reach. It is drift. Also find the actual distance traveled. Okay. So consider this is the river and it has width of 0.8 kilometer. Velocity of river with respect to ground is basically 3 cap and man can swim up to the speed of 0.4 kilometer per hour. Okay, so now the man is swimming in this particular direction with the speed of man with respect to river. Okay, but if the observer is on the ground, okay, he'll see this particular man in this but going in this particular direction, which is the speed of man with respect to ground. Okay, now here you can see that this is the speed of river with respect to ground, which is in the positive x direction. So this will be ultimately theta. So it is 4 and this is 3. So here you can see that this is 3 and 4. It is at 90 degree and the hypotenuse will be 5 kilometer per hour. Okay, so theta is basically here 37 degree. Okay, you can see that tan theta will be 3 by 4. Theta will be 37 degree. Okay, so this is the speed of the man with respect to ground. Okay, now what will be its velocity? Okay, so for that you can see that velocity of man with respect to ground will be velocity of man with respect to river minus velocity of ground with respect to river. Okay, so I can write it as vmr, and now the velocity of river with respect to ground will be negative of this one, so it will be positive. Okay, so here you can see that velocity of man with respect to river is basically 3 cap and velocity of river with respect to ground is 4 cap. Okay, so this is 3 cap plus 4 cap kilometer per hour. Okay, so here the magnitude is 5 kilometer per hour. Okay, now what will be the time for the reaching the other point? Okay, so time will be here the j component will decide how much time it will take to get up to the opposite bank. Okay, because it is in the y direction. Okay, so here total distance is the 0.8 kilometer and time is the 4 kilometer per hour. It will take 0.2 hour. Okay, so 0.2 hour is basically, you can see that 0.2 hour is 0.2 into 60 minutes, so this will be 12 minutes. Okay, and what will be the drift of the person? Okay, so as we know that man is moving in this particular direction, so the x component of the velocity will determine how much drift will be there. Okay, so suppose the person is reaching at this particular point, which is d. Okay, so I can calculate that thing here. So d will be vx into t. Vx is basically 3 and this is zero point 0.2. This will be 0.6 kilometer. The drift of the person will be 600 meter. Okay, and in the last section we have to find actual distance traveled. Okay, the actual distance traveled you can see clearly. This is the width, which is 800. This is the drift, which is 600. This is 800 and 600 and distance is this one, so this will be 1000 meter. So actual distance traveled will be 1 kilometer. Okay, so that's how you can solve this particular problem. Okay, now let us move to the next problem. Okay, our next problem is river having width of 1000 meter is flowing with the speed of 8 kilometer per hour. Man can swim in this river with the speed of 10 kilometer per hour with an angle of 143 degree with respect to the flow of river. Okay, this is the velocity of man with respect to river. Okay, this is if 143, so this will be 37-degree angle. Okay, now the width is basically 1 kilometer. Okay, so here we are given that the man can swim up the with the speed of 10 km per hour, and the river has the speed of 8 km per hour. Okay, so velocity of river with respect to ground is basically 8 I cap. Now the VMR is basically 10 I cap. Okay, so you can clearly see that 37-degree. Okay, and this is 10. So 10 cos 37 will be and here, and 10 sin 37 will be here. This is 10 cos 37. 10 sin 37 is 6 km per hour, and this will be 8 km per hour. Okay, so VMR basically is minus 8 I cap plus 6 J cap kilometer per hour. This is in kilometer per hour. Okay, so what will be the speed of man with respect to ground, which is VMG, is going to be VMR plus VRG. Okay, so I'll add this point both, so I'll get only 6 J cap kilometer per hour. So with respect to ground, the observer is here, okay, on the ground. So it will see the man is going on the this particular direction, which is VMG. So this is basically the positive y-axis. Okay, so person will start from this point and he'll reach it at this point. Okay, so the drift will be 0. Okay, and actual distance traveled will be 1 kilometer. What will be the time to reach from this point to this point? Okay, so here the time will be distance upon speed. Okay, so distance is basically 1 kilometer, speed is 6 km per hour. So this will be 1 by 6. So this will be 10 minutes. Okay, so he'll take only 10 minutes to reach on the another point. Okay, our next problem is from the HC Verma. The problem is like a man can swim in still water at a speed of 3 km per hour. He wants to cross a river that flows at 2 km per hour and reach the point directly opposite to his starting point. In which direction should he try to swim? That is, find the angle of his body with respect to the river flow. How much time will he take to cross the river if the river is 500-meter wide? Okay, consider this is the river. 0.5 kilometer. Okay, in person suppose starts from this point, so he has to move in this particular direction, which is VMR, to reach this point. Okay, because the river is flowing in this particular direction, which is the 2 I cap. Okay, and this is 3 I cap J 3 km per hour. Okay, not I cap or J cap. We have to resolve it in two components. Okay, so the angle is going to be found with the theta. Okay, so VMR is basically 3 sin theta I cap. This will be negative plus 3 cos theta J cap. Okay, and velocity of river with respect to ground is going to be 2 I cap. Okay, now as you can see that velocity in the x direction is going to be 2 minus 3 sin theta I cap. Velocity in the y direction is going to be 3 cos theta J cap. Okay, so here to reach the person from this point to this point, drift should be 0. So this should be 0 because the velocity in the x direction also should be 0. So this will be 2 equals to 3 sin theta. So sin theta will be equals to 2 by 3. Okay, and cos theta will be here root 5 by 3. Okay, so now let us find how much time it will take to reach the opposite point. Okay, so time will be determined by the vertical component. Okay, so distance is basically here is given, it is of 500 meter, so I can write it as 0.5 kilometer divided by, here the vertical component is 3 cos theta, so this will be 3, and cos theta is basically root 5 by 3, so 3 and 3 will cancel here, so this is going to be 5 and root 5, so this is root 5 on 10, or also I can write it as 1 by 2 root 5 r. Okay, so this much time the person will take to reach the opposite point. Okay, so that's the three problems for the river bot or river man problems. Okay, so basically you have to remember only one thing here is that how to represent VAB or VMR. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing is to describe the velocities in the unit vector form. Okay, so basically in the x direction we are going to take I cap, and in the y direction we are going to take j cap. Okay, so that's the two things which you have to remember, and simply the normal kinematics is the thing which we are going to apply to solve these particular problems. So you can go through again these videos to get pretty idea of how to deal with such problems. Okay, so that's all for this particular video series, and this is the last video of this video series, and I'm going to end this video series at this particular video. Okay, so stay connected to the channel for further videos. In the next video series I'm going to announce new chapters which is going to be laws of motion, friction and circular motion. So I want that we just cover mechanics in great detail. So thank you so much. Stay connected to the channel. That's all.